Pierre is going 205. Now, I told you guys right after he lost to Izzy, I told you that I spoke to somebody that knows him very well. And they just told me, look, he's going to go to 205. And I said, well, this is kind of heated. And we got, we had the piece of theater between Izzy and the son and a little bit of back and forth here. Are you sure about that? And he goes, well, you got to understand how Pierre's mind works. So Pierre wants to do new things. He wants to win new things. So if you offer him a chance to fight Izzy, first, you're offering him a chance to be a 185-pound champion. He's already done that. Second, you're offering him a chance to beat Israel Adesanya. He's already done that. So the way that his mind works, he will go to 205 and try to do and beat people that he has not yet done and beaten. I only go back to, because when it got announced that in fact he was going to 205, the person that told me that quickly came back to me and said, told you. Pierre does, to me, appear to be one of the more interesting characters in the sport, and you don't get it right from him. He's not the same interview guy. He's not the same show up to a press conference guy. He's not the same, hey, let me learn to be bilingual so that I can communicate and market myself effectively. But he still succeeds at being very interesting. There's just things that he does that are compelling. And when he announced that he's going to go to 205 pounds, he did shore up a few thoughts, a few questions that I had. By example, he said, if I stayed at 185, I am confident I could get an immediate rematch with Adesanya. That's a big deal to me. That's one of the things that I wondered when he said he was going to 205. Did he think he was going to have to be a contender and start this whole process again? He says, no. I think I could get it. And he said, I'm not thrilled with Adesanya's behavior. He had a lifelong goal to get a win over me, but he's acting as though he's 3 and I'm the 1. He's forgetting that I'm the 3 and he's the 1. But he could have just been excited. This is Pierre talking. Could have just been excited. So I'm going to monitor and watch his behavior moving forward. I thought that was a powerful line. I mean, that's a threat. That is a straight threat. I am going to watch and monitor his behavior. He then furthered this thought to say, I'm not going to 205 because I can't make 185. I can make 185. There's just nothing there left for me. So when you couple that together, he believes he can get the fight, he can make the weight, and then he says he's going to monitor his behavior. That's a threat. And that's interesting. That's interesting to me, right? So now we got Pierre going to 205. Guess what happened? Jan Blachowicz said to Pierre, I'll be your first opponent. And I thought that was also very interesting. Because Pierre is going to have a very meaningful match. Very meaningful. Likely a feature match on a pay-per-view. Likely. Can he go right into a title fight? Well, at a division where the champion has not created anything for himself, right? Jamal Hill's got nothing going with anybody. It's not as though Pierre is going to come up and be the one to get something out of him. I mean, he's as dry as a turd in a punch bowl, right? I mean, there's nothing interesting out of either one of those guys. And I don't say it to be a jerk. It's just a reality that a promoter can come in and put them together. I think that fight would make sense. You're just going to have a tough sell of how do you put a guy that you just woke up. You woke a guy up and informed him he can change divisions and fight for your strap, which, by the way, if that fight was announced, he would also be the favorite. The guy that's never been in the division that was just sound asleep on television got woken up with some smelling salts and then informed, here's a contract, you're going to be world champion again. It's weird, right? It's weird. So you're probably going to go into a contenders match. And the contenders match, what? A former champion? Not to mention, I really like what Blachowicz is doing. He's looking a bit thirsty. I understand that. But he also went very quiet, and now he's jumping on every opportunity that he sees. And he offered, I'm talking about Blachowicz, 4 days ago to drop down to 185 pounds and do a rematch with Adesanya, a guy he beat, the last guy to beat Izzy. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. It also is a sign of desperation that I can't get what I want at 205. Now, all of a sudden, 4 days later, Pierre announces he's coming up and Blachowicz welcomes him. I get where it makes him look thirsty. Go back to that term. But I hope that you also get that this is what you do when you want an opportunity. You fight for it. You suggest it. You try to get people behind it. You try to get the guy that you're offering to welcome to be excited, to be interested in that. And that is a very compelling matchup. Pereira versus Jon. Very interesting X's and O's. Jan's got that incredible power. Pereira is probably the most skilled guy from a technical standpoint. And then one thing that Jon did show us that he's got wrestling when he needs. I mean, I'm just saying that's an interesting match. Not to mention, I don't think that Pereira, there wouldn't be a huge problem if Pereira was just to go to 205 and go right against Hill. That wouldn't be a huge problem. You got some explaining to do, but it could definitely be done. I just share for you that Pereira is likely no more than one win away from being in that main event title fight with whoever happens to have the belt at that time. And then particularly if he's to beat a former world champion like Blachowicz, I just think it solves a lot of problems. I would like to see Jon get something that he goes for. This is a former world champion who was all but forgotten. He has finally found a voice. I like that a lot. I want him to get one of these things that he's calling for. I think he called for something very hard. I think he called for something very realistic. I think he called for something that would have significance and meaning on the back end. But that's the latest with Pereira. He's made it real clear. Real clear that he's going up, but he's going to keep watching Izzy. He's going to monitor his behavior. Just a beautiful, that was a very powerful threat. Very subtle. And I think it opens the door for Izzy to get on with his life, which to me still looks like Du Plessis.